Welcome to the Reality of Herbal Therapy podcast. So today I'm sitting with Lynn, who she reminded me last time I didn't introduce her very well, so better do a better introduction. Lynn is my wife. We've been married almost 30 years. She's the oldest of Dr. James's children. So when people talk about I've worked in the business for 25 years, she's been in the business almost her entire life. She's grown up with all of this, and so she knows a whole lot more than I do.
And we have 8 children, so we've practiced it a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So we've been practicing for a while. So in this episode, I kind of wanted to talk about one of our most popular and sought after things on our website, which every time I notice it and see it, it's just kind of surprising to me, which is Impetigo. And one of the surprising things is when Lynn mentions something about it to somebody, most people look at her like, what is that? So you want to kind of give us a background on.
So what is Impetigo?
Yeah.
So Impetigo for my children, when we got it, it actually started out looking a lot like, is it eczema, where people have dry skin, where you get kind of red, splotchy, dry spots and stuff. And the kids would end up with that. And I didn't
It's like
think
on the chin. And
it's usually, especially on a child, it's on the face. It's near their nose or their mouth. Because like typically for us, it would show up after they'd had a runny nose or something. And we don't get it all the time or anything. But the time we did end up dealing with it, which that same daughter for some reason kept getting it for a while. It starts with the dry little reddish skin or whatever. But what it morphs into is just crazy. It turns into these oozing, like almost honey crusted is how I would describe it. I don't know how else to describe it. If you were to rub your hand across the oozing that dries and crusts on there, the oozing just falls off and then it oozes again and crusts again. Wow. Most people don't realize that is highly contagious, and that oozing spreads it to other places, especially on any weak skin. So when a child or two of ours got it, they love to pick at things. So if they got it on their nose and they also had mosquito bites at the same time, they would scratch their nose and touch the mosquito bites. So then the mosquito bites would start getting that oozy, crusty, gross stuff.
And it's itchy. So they tend to pick at it.
It is itchy, and it is. So by the time we realized what we had, it had spread. So they had it down their arms, all over their face. Oh my goodness. And until we figured out how to kind of back it off, it just took forever. There was one time that it actually took us 6 months to get rid of it. So I did a lot of research and learning about what it is, what it's based in. We found out that it is also an internal thing. It's systemic. So it gets in your system, and you need to take, for me, we take Fection, but what is that? An antibiotic people would take? I don't know what normal people would take for that. We take Fection.
Well, probiotic. You basically want to nourish and build up your immune system.
Yeah, you have to nourish and build up the immune system and get the bacteria or the virus, whatever it is, to stop coming back. Well, since we first did the article that Jim is talking about that just draws people to the website somehow, since we've done that article, I have learned so much, because one of my daughters just seemed to be prone to it coming back during the flu season, like in the fall. And sometimes it would take us until spring to get rid of it. We have found some things that make it that we catch it early. If I start seeing any kind of a little bit of red on her skin, just this, I don't even know how to describe it, little just red spots. They're not even dry and crusty yet or anything. Then I start immediately. She takes a bath every day. I have her do that, like whether we're in that habit or not all the time. I have her soak in a bath, and we found that if we put baking soda and vinegar in it, that if it's not oozing it, just baking soda and vinegar helps to reset the pH, but it also keeps it from ever getting to that oozing state, because once it starts oozing, it's horrible. It's like that Greek fire to get rid of. The more you put on it, it just spreads. Yeah. So the things that we do is preventative. Do the preventative. If I see the red on her face of it coming on, I give her a probiotic. So besides giving her Fection, which is a pre and probiotic kind of, I also give her a really good probiotic. We can probably add a link under this into the one that I really, really, really like. I give her a probiotic and the red is gone within 1 or 2 days. So we never get to the impetigo stage. But if somebody already has the full blown impetigo and it is oozing, the baths every day. And we actually, sometimes I would have her bathe a couple times a day just because, and it wasn't just a get in the bath and get out. It was a soak and play and absorb and like hydrate the skin, whatever. The bath made a huge, huge difference. Give them Fection, give them probiotic. And then on the skin, tea honey concentrate, which is, I think there'll be a link below, but tea honey is something that we drink, but the concentrate that we make for that is actually absolutely amazing on the skin and amazing on impetigo because it's vinegar and honey. And those two together are just a powerhouse. Honey has been used for centuries to heal wounds and open things. It's antimicrobial, antibiotic. It heals things. It is so powerful. Even my midwife told me to use it after I had a baby. So it's like to heal open things. So it's just, honey is absolutely amazing. And then vinegar just has this ability to change the pH and to bring balance to things. So we put the tea honey concentrate on the oozy parts. So if your kid can't get in a bath every time, it is important to wipe those things down use wipes, use a rag, but anything you use either needs to be thrown away or thrown in the washer because anything it gets on is now contaminated and contagious. If you throw your washing rag or whatever into the washer, which also when we have oozing impetigo, we actually when they wore something, they had to take it off and we had to wash it. So if she took 2 or 3 baths a day, she wore 2 or 3 outfits a day. Anything that touches them. And then we would be washing her bedding. Her pillowcase would get changed every night. We had to, once it is in outbreak mode, you're constantly doing laundry to get rid of that. So I'm trying to think of what else.
So we could just go, so internally, probiotic, Fection, if they've got digestive issues, something to help deal with the digestive issues.
Mm-hmm.
And then
somehow we found it was for the daughter that kept getting it, digestive was how we were actually able to totally kick it in the end. Is I needed to give her a probiotic. And we just had to keep up with it. And sometimes L-lysine would help because L-lysine helps with any outbreak near the mouth. So we do a probiotic and L-lysine and then the Fection.
L-lysine, the amino acid.
Mm-hmm.
So those are for the internal. And then for external, you said wash it often, baths or something with baking soda and vinegar in the water. How much baking soda and vinegar?
That's a really good question. Okay, so if it's just a normal size bathtub, it's probably about, I'm thinking half a cup of vinegar, and I just do 2 handfuls of baking soda.
Probably about quarter to half cup.
Yeah. So, and that makes a huge difference. And you can put a little bit more in it. You will, if you end up putting too much in, their entire skin will be kind of dry and itchy, but you have to put an excessive amount in. At one point, my daughter was just putting herself in the tub. And one day she gets out and she's like, Mom, I am so itchy. So I asked her to kind of show me how much she had put in, and she had put in a lot, probably 2 cups of baking soda and half a gallon of vinegar. So don't do that.
So a little bit goes a long ways, basically.
A little bit goes a long ways, but there is a sweet spot, and everybody's tub is a different size. Some people have smaller tubs. Some people have huge tubs. So it's a little bit different, but that brings me to an interesting thing. So when we were living in Oregon, our grandson, we thought he was coming down with impetigo. He started with some spots on his face, but then he started getting them on his tummy and on his arms and everything. And so we kind of started treating it like impetigo. Well, one day a friend of mine saw him and she's like, "Oh my goodness, he has poison oak." I'm like, "What? Poison oak? We don't even have that in the yard. How did he get poison oak?" So she told me that her family actually keeps Dawn dish soap in their shower so that if their family's been out working in the weeds or cleaning up things or anything, and they think they might have even smelled poison oak, they would shower down with Dawn dish soap. Well, that made me think, okay, the impetigo bath we do that is baking soda and vinegar, if I add the Dawn dish soap to it, then maybe, because this kid was, how old was he? 4, 5? Yeah.
6. Yeah.
He was young enough that keeping him clean and keeping him like, we're not going to be able to hold him down and treat him with everything every day. It just, yeah, he was, and there's definitely, he was going to end up back in wherever he found that at. We searched the entire 6 acres.
He loved to tromp through the forest. So
yeah, tromp through the forest.
So if we found it, we would be showing him like, this is poison oak. Stay away from it.
Don't roll in it.
Yeah.
Don't hide in it.
Well, and the thing is poison oak gives off an oil, and that's what causes that rash. And so the Dawn dish soap breaks up the oil.
Yeah, the Dawn dish soap breaks up the oil. So we started doing that for him, and he was a bath lover and a half. So every time he would start itching, even just a little bit, because seriously, he had it everywhere. It was poor thing. Oh my goodness. And oozing and gross, but it looked like impetigo. So we started, anytime he wanted a bath, we were getting him in the bath. I think he was getting 3 or 4 baths a day. Within 3 days, every sore had dried up, like was no longer oozing. That means it's no longer spreading itself everywhere, because as long as it's oozing, it's spreading on poison oak. But it seriously was so similar to impetigo, I would treat it the same. Both vice versa. So even for my child, if they had impetigo that was not going away, I would put Dawn dish soap in their bath. Now, me personally, I don't use Dawn dish soap. I keep it in my home now only for that. I do not use it for my dishes. It's got so many added, all sorts of things. I just don't, I don't use it. But for this, it was absolutely worth it, because we had tried everything else. And every other option is some kind of medication you get from a doctor anyways. I figure Dawn dish soap can't be any worse. So we had the kid in the bath 3 to 4 times a day, and he was loving it. And it helped everything to just dry up. We kept giving him Fection. We would, in the beginning, when it's in the oozy state, we could not like rub him down with lotion or coconut oil or anything, because if you rub past one into the next, you're spreading everything. So we were just letting him get in, and it dried it up on its own. If we were going to add stuff to it, which we may have done, was the tea honey concentrate, we would use Q-tips. And I'm talking, we went through a lot of Q-tips, because we didn't want to spread from sore to sore to sore to sore, or from tea honey concentrate to sore. So you have to touch with something different for everything, and then make sure you wash your hands after dealing with that child. But every time he got in the bathtub, we put his clothes in the washer. We were seriously doing a load or 2 of his clothes, his bedding every day, so that we didn't want it to spread to anybody else, and we didn't want it to respread from his clothes. So we would wash with normal soap in the washer, but I also put a little bit of Dawn dish soap in the washing machine. And then we would, in where you would normally put your Downy or your fabric softener, we would put vinegar in there. So the whole thing was rinsed with vinegar, so that then it could help to also clear out whatever might be lurking in his clothes that could help to spread it.
Okay, so we talked about internal, probiotic, Fection, digestive aid if needed. So external was baths and tea honey on the sores, or is there anything else that you would put on it?
Tea honey coconut oil, when it is not oozing yet, like as far as, so we're talking two things here now. We have,
So the open oozing sores, you want to use the tea honey concentrate. But if you've got the early signs, then this is when you
early signs. If there's just some splotchy red skin because you've seen it before, you know your kid's prone to it or whatever, I would do the bath, not necessarily the Dawn dish soap. That's only if it's oozing already. And then I rub my kids down with coconut oil, or sometimes I make a whipped coconut shea butter cream. Shea butter is absolutely amazing as a topical lotion, and it's also antibacterial, antimicrobial. It's been used for centuries, like in Africa and stuff like that. It is absolutely amazing. And now that we're back in the desert, I'm back using shea butter a lot more. So shea butter, the yellow shea butter, like if you have to choose which one you're buying, if one of our people listening needs to choose which one to buy, yellow shea butter comes from the desert. White shea butter comes from more in the mountainous areas of where it's produced, which means if you live in a mountainous area, choose white shea butter. It will work better for what's going on for you and your climate. If you live in the desert, use the yellow shea butter. So just a little aside there. But as far as with the Impetigo, yeah, we have gotten it to where my daughter, if her skin starts feeling dry, she will put Comfort Gold salve on it. We start taking a probiotic immediately. What else? And coconut oil and shea butter. Just, she has to keep it moist. And usually hers is around her mouth, which when it starts to get a little itchy, she starts licking it. Like, so then, licking your lips, and it becomes more and more and more when she does that. The saliva somehow helps to spread all of it. So the first trick is to get her to stop licking. That's why, like the Comfort Gold salve, using it like chapstick. But then for her, she's found she spreads that chapstick like clear out to her cheeks and whatever, because she does not want it again. So I don't know if that helps with all the questions. I think that covers everything that I could think of that we have.
Yeah.
We have for it, but it's absolutely amazing. We'll link the article below that we wrote years ago, which has wonderful information on it if you want to know a little bit more of the scientific words about Impetigo. But yeah, it's catch it early if you can.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing all of your knowledge and your expertise with that. I appreciate it. Let us know if you guys have any questions, and we'd love to answer them. And we'll talk to you guys next time.
It is not the intent of professional herbal instruction or any persons associated therewith to diagnose or prescribe. The intent is only to offer herbal information for your consideration. In the event you use this information without your doctor's approval, you are prescribing for yourself, which is your God-given right. But professional herbal instruction or any persons associated herewith assume no responsibility. The claims and statements made on this podcast have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.